What's good, YouTubers and YouTubettes? This is JBsports back again with another one. One of the biggest draws in the sport of boxing, Gervonta Tank Davis, is looking to once again grace the square circle at the end of 2022. And my source is telling me that the opponent that he will take on, and the fight's going to go down in December on Showtime pay-per-view, the opponent will be Michel Rivera. Now, Michel Rivera recently came out and said, look, Tank, you got to fight me or vacate. Now, Rivera is sitting in the catbird seat. He's ranked in the top 3 of the WBA. Him and Giselle Corrales are in the top 3. They got a vacant position in the top 3 of the WBA. And Michel Rivera, who is a PBC fighter, is in prime position to take on Gervonta Tank Davis in December on Showtime pay-per-view. Now, last year in December, Gervonta Tank Davis took on Isaac Cruz. Isaac Cruz was a late replacement for Rolando Roller Romero. Had a lot of accusations. Turned out those accusations was unfounded for sexual assault. So the PBC, led by Al Heyman, pulled him from their fights. And he took on Isaac Cruz. Isaac Cruz gave him a much tougher than expected fight. A lot of people even said Isaac Cruz won that fight. I ain't think he won the fight, but he did win some rounds. I had to fight 7 rounds to 5 for Gervonta Tank Davis. With all that being said, a lot of people speculated that Isaac Cruz would be the opponent for Gervonta Tank Davis at the end of 2022, but that would not be the case, as Isaac Cruz would be taking on Eduardo Ramirez. That's going to be the co-main event for Luis Ortiz versus Andy Ruiz. And Giselle Corrales, who's ranked in the top 3 with Michel Rivera, will be on the undercard also. So that basically eliminates those 2 opponents for Gervonta Tank Davis. But my sources again telling me that Michel Rivera will be the opponent. And the city that I'm hearing could be hosting that fight is the Sunshine State, South Beach, Miami, Florida, as Leonard Ellerbe and Mayweather Promotions have been using Tank Davis fights as basically doing a United States tour. Every time he fights in a different venue. He fought Leo Santa Cruz in San Antonio, Texas in the Alamo Dome. He fought Mario Barrios in Atlanta, Georgia. He took on Rolando Roller Romero in Brooklyn, New York. So I'm hearing that Michel Rivera, who resides in Miami, Florida, he's from the DR, Dominican Republic, but he resides in Miami, Florida. So that's one of the places that they're mentioning as a possible host for this matchup between Tank Davis and Michel Rivera. Now, Michel Rivera is not a known quantity in boxing circles, but he is a solid fighter. His last fight, he tried to be Muhammad Ali reincarnated, had Muhammad Ali white and black trunks, had his hairdo, had everything Muhammad Ali, but he did not put on the Muhammad Ali performance against Joe Frazier in the Thriller in Manila, the 3rd fight, or the Rumble in the Jungle versus George Foreman. It was more like the Muhammad Ali versus Joe Frazier 2nd fight. That fight took place in Madison Square Garden also, just like the 1st fight. So he's more of that style of Muhammad Ali, you know, basically using the jab, using the right hand, controlling distance, and basically fighting on the outside. He can't just do that against a guy that is skilled and as powerful and as versatile as Gervonta Tank Davis. He's got to bring more to the table. But sometimes when the competition is higher, people rise to the occasion. Maybe that'll be the case with Michel Rivera. That's going to have to be the case. If he fight like he fought in his last fight, in his unanimous decision win versus Ardarno, that's not going to be good enough to beat a world-class fighter in Gervonta Tank Davis, a pound-for-pound champion in Gervonta Tank Davis. So we will see what happens, and we will see what transpires. But that's my sources that are telling me that Gervonta Tank Davis will take on Michel Rivera. Now, when you look at Michel Rivera's resume, you know, he beat a couple of solid fighters. Like I say, he beat Ardarno. He beat who else he beat? He beat Cordell Patterson. That was a solid win, but his resume pales in the comparison to Gervonta Tank Davis's resume. Now, Gervonta Tank Davis is a guy that gets shitted on when you talk about his resume, but when you look at his resume is very solid. It ain't nothing weak about his resume. You look at who he beat. He beat Jose Pedraza. He beat Francisco Fonseca. He went to the UK and beat Leon Walsh and got an IBF belt. He's defeated Yorkes Gamboa. He's defeated Isaac Cruz. He's defeated Leo Santa Cruz. He's defeated Rolando Roller Romero. he has one of the best resumes in the lightweight division. Make no mistake about it. Now, it's not top heavy like Devin Haney, who's beating George Kambosos and Jojo Diaz. Ooh, yeah! And Jorge Linares. It's not as top heavy as that. Or, it ain't. I'm going to put it to you like this. The only fight I can say that has a stronger resume in the lightweight division than Gervonta Tank Davis is Vasily Lomachenko. That's the only person I can say just clear-cut got a better resume in the lightweight division. It's arguable that Devin Haney has a better resume. He's got better fighters at the top, but as far as quantity, he can't match up with Gervonta Tank Davis, in my opinion. I think he has a longer, more credible resume. I just think that Devin Haney, when you talk about the top two, he's probably fought the top two out of those guys. And beating George Kambosos is probably better than anybody on Gervonta Tank Davis' resume. And Jojo Diaz, ooh yeah, who was a world champion, defeated Tevin Farmer, only lost to the top fighters. He lost to Devin Haney. He lost to guys like that. And he lost to Mr. Gary Russell Jr. So that's probably better than anybody on Gervonta Tank Davis' resume. But Gervonta Tank Davis got the quality. Leo Santa Cruz probably, you probably can put him up there with ahead of Jojo Diaz. Now I'm thinking about it. Right up there with George Kambosos. I just think his resume is just a little bit more lengthier or quality of opposition. And like I said, I rate his resume right up there with Vasily Lomachenko, probably just a notch below Vasily Lomachenko, and arguably right there with Devin Haney, a little bit better than Devin Haney if you want to talk about quantity over quality. So we will see what happens, and we will see what transpires. But that's the latest and the greatest in the boxing. Gervonta Tank Davis will take on Michel Rivera. You heard it here first on Showtime pay-per-view in December. A lot of people were speculating it was going to be Eastside Cruz, but Eastside Cruz will be the co-main event to Andy Ruiz versus Luis King Kong Ortiz. The other top three fighter in the WBA, Giselle Corrales, also will be on that undercard taking on an opponent. So that rules out those two opponents for Gervonta Tank Davis in December. Michel Rivera is the highest rated fighter in the WBA, up under Gervonta Tank Davis and world champion Devin the Dream Haney. He's affiliated with the PBC. He's advised by Al Heyman. It's an in-house fight. It's easy to make, and that will be the next opponent for Gervonta Tank Davis. Now, I already know that it's going to be a lot of people out here that's going to criticize Michel Rivera as an opponent. They're going to be like, man, why he fighting Michel Rivera? Fight Devin Haney. Fight Vasily Lomachenko. Fights that are unrealistic at this time, as Devin Haney is contractually obligated to take on George Kambosos in a rematch. Vasily Lomachenko is not fighting right now. He's defending his country. Ryan Garcia got a fight coming up in July the 16th. That's got to be the fight that Leonard Ellaby will look to make happen after this fight coming up in December. But I doubt if that fight even comes to fruition in the early portion of 2023 due to the political divisions in the sport of boxing, as Ryan Garcia fights exclusively on DAZN, and Gervonta Tank Davis is working with the Showtime, and his last several fights have been on Showtime pay-per-view, and he's not looking to jump ship and go fight on an app that a lot of people have never even heard of. So we will see what happens, and we will see what transpires. Gervonta Tank Davis versus Michel Rivera. When you look at Rivera's record, 23 wins, 0 losses, 14 KOs. Gervonta Tank Davis' record is 27 wins, 0 losses, 25 KOs. So this will be a fight of undefeated fighters. Somebody old must go. So it's a good matchup. He don't have the fanfare. He don't have the recognition as far as a big name in the sport of boxing, but he is a good fighter. Very tall lightweight. His listed height is 5'9", so he'll enjoy a height advantage over Gervonta Tank Davis. But Gervonta Tank Davis, when you look at his track record, he fights at his best against taller fighters. His toughest fight was against a fighter that was shorter than him in Eastside Pitbull Cruz, so he'll be right at home taking on a taller guy with a 71-inch reach advantage for Michel Rivera. I think Tank Davis reaches around 70 inches, so he don't have much, if not any, reach advantage over Gervonta Tank Davis, but he will enjoy advantages for his height-wise. He's 5'9", and Gervonta Tank Davis is around 5'5", 5'6". So we will see what happens, and we will see what transpires. As far as the matchup goes, he's going to have to bring much more than the 1-2. He's an orthodox fighter in Rivera. He's looking to land the jab and hit you with the right hand and control distance. But he's straight up and down, no special effects, as the great Mayweather Jr. once said. He's going to have to bring more to the table, but like I said, sometimes guys rise to the occasion when the competition rise. So he's going to have to do that. But from what I've seen thus far, he don't have enough to beat Gervonta Tank Davis. I think it'll be competitive early on, but I think once Gervonta starts countering that jab, coming over the jab with the right hand, and start closing distance, and maybe ducking up under the jab to get inside to land an uppercut, I think it's going to be a lot of problems for Michael Rivera, and I don't think it's going to be problems that I don't think he's going to be able to solve. And I think he gets stopped probably in the second half of that fight. That's just my early prognostication of this particular matchup. But it's a good fight, a solid opponent. Like I said, you're going to have a lot of people out here shitting on the fight, but what's the difference between Ryan Garcia versus Javier Fortuna in comparison to Gervonta Tank Davis versus Michael Rivera? Michael Rivera is rated higher than Javier Fortuna. Javier Fortuna has a bigger name, but you put Javier Fortuna in there with Michael Rivera, who's the betting on? Who is the favorite going into that fight? You go to Las Vegas betting odds, who would be the odds-on favorite in a Michael Rivera versus Javier Fortuna fight? I think Rivera probably would be a favorite in that fight. So you can't shit on the opponent just because you don't know the opponent. He's an undefeated lightweight contender. He has worked his way up to this position to fight for a world title. And let's give him his opportunity. Let's see what happens and let's see what transpires. Let me know your thoughts about Michael Rivera taking on Gervonta Tank Davis on Showtime pay-per-view in December. Let me know your thoughts if you like this fight or you think he should fight another opponent. I think this is a good opponent as long as after this fight he gets in there with the big names in the lightweight division. He's got to fight after. If he's successful versus Michael Rivera, he must take on a Ryan Garcia at the very least, or a Devin the Dream Haney, or a Vasily Lomachenko, or one of the top fighters in the world of boxing in the lightweight division. Leonard Ellaby has said here numerous times that Gervonta Tank Davis is a draw. It really don't matter who he fights. And we all about making money. We ain't about overpaying these guys that are not bringing a lot to the table. They're known to the YouTube channels. They're known to the hardcore boxing fans, but they don't bring enough to the table for us to overpay him. So we're very, very pleased and happy to continue down this road with Gervonta Tank Davis doing big numbers, doing big gates, and making money for not only the Mayweather promotions, but for Al Heyman and the PBC. So we will see what happens, and we will see what transpires. Let me know your thoughts about Michael Rivera taking on Gervonta Tank Davis. Do you like this fight? Let me know in the comments section. Follow me on Facebook, Gerard.Briscoe.3551. Like, share, and subscribe to JB Sports. The man, the myth, the legend. And I holla.